Welcome back. I'm Ruth Ann, and this is For Those Who Care. If you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance you're a caregiver or you love someone who is. You're doing work most people never see, and you probably feel invisible more often than not. I want to start with what I tell caregivers all the time. You are doing a great job. Thank you for doing what you do. Your work is some of the most important work in the world. For Those Who Care exists because caregiving is hard and isolating, and our world does not pay enough attention to the people doing this kind of work every single day. My own life has been shaped by caregiving. When I was caring for my husband, Lance, my world revolved around his needs, the needs of everyone else involved in his care, and the constant decisions that came with his illnesses. After he died more than 5 years ago, caregiving didn't just switch off. It stayed with me in how I see the world, in who I notice, and in the people who find their way to me when their own lives suddenly become about hospitals, decisions, and fear. For most of my adult life, I have been the person people call when they suddenly find themselves in a caregiving situation. They want to know what to do, which choice is the right one, and how to get through this without destroying themselves. And I understand that desperation because I've felt it too. But there are no magic solutions. There never have been. And that's part of the reason why this podcast exists. This show was never about easy answers. It has always been about honesty, telling the truth about how hard this is, and making sure caregivers know they're not crazy, they're not selfish, and they're definitely not alone. Again and again, I want you to hear you are doing a great job, and thank you for doing what you do. I also regularly ask caregivers a question they're not used to hearing. What have you done to care for yourself lately? Most of the time, there's a long pause after that question because your whole life is built around caring for everyone else. I understand that more than you know, which brings me to why I'm recording this episode. For the next several months, I'm going to pause releasing new episodes of For Those Who Care. This isn't because caregivers matter any less to me. It isn't because the stories have run out. It's because, like you, I have limits, even when it comes to work I deeply believe in. Right now, I'm finishing school, something I waited 30 years to do. It's part of the long process of rebuilding my life after many years of caring for Lance and then learning how to live after he died, which I'm still learning how to do. Much like the choices you face, I've had to look honestly at my own situation and ask, what can I realistically carry right now? What choices can I live with in the long run? I have spent most of my life caring for others, for Lance, for my family, for friends, and for other caregivers. I don't regret that. It's who I am. But I also know that if I want to keep caring for others well, I have to pay attention to my own life and my own health too. Pressing pause for a few months is one of those hard choices. It is definitely not the easy choice. The easy thing would be to keep pushing myself to pretend I can do everything and ignore what that's costing me, much like what I did as a caregiver. But I know what it feels like to live with decisions for a very long time, and I need this one to be intentional. Here's what this means for you. The episodes that are already here will still be available. If you're new, you can start from the beginning and listen in whatever order fits where you are. The first few episodes do tell my story if you're interested in that. If you've been listening for a while, you may notice that different conversations speak to you differently as your caregiving story changes. You can keep sharing episodes with other caregivers, especially those who feel invisible and are desperate for someone who understands. And you can send me a message if you want to. Just click on send me a text. I would love to hear from you and I will respond. My hope is that even without new episodes for a little while, this podcast will continue to do what it was created to do. Remind you that your work matters, that your feelings are valid, and that you are not alone, even when it feels like the rest of the world has looked away. I will still be holding on to the questions I ask all caregivers. What have you done to care for yourself lately? And how are you really doing? And I'll be asking those questions of myself during this time as I finish school and continue rebuilding my life. I'm taking this break because my life and my health and my future matter too. And if you're listening and you feel guilty even imagining taking a break from anything, I hope my choice to take a break gives you a tiny bit of permission to consider your own needs. I do plan to come back sometime in the fall. I don't know exactly what this podcast will look like when I come back, but I do know this. There are so many more stories to tell, more caregivers to encourage, and more truth that needs to be spoken out loud. I'm stepping back for a season so that when I return, I can continue this work with the energy and honesty it deserves. Until then, please hear this as clearly as I can say it. You are doing a great job. Thank you for doing what you do. Your work is some of the most important work in the world, even if no one else seems to notice. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.